Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so LA Lakers, man, we were eliminated yesterday by the Minnesota Timberwolves in 5. Rudy Gobert had a very, very monumental and strong game. 27 points, 24 rebounds, 2 blocks. Just a really great game. And, one half of the story is, in that regard, the Lakers leaving him open and more or less putting only short people underneath him, having him being guarded by small forwards and stuff like that. And the other half of that is him doing the work and taking advantage of the opportunities to score, take advantage of the opportunities to rebound. There's 2 halves to the story. And so what I'm hearing is people talking about one half or another. And he deserves his credit for doing the work. And he deserves to be given the idea that a lot of this was the carpet rolled out for him. And that's what I saw. Red carpet rolled out for Rudy Gobert and him doing his dance down that carpet as he's supposed to do as a center. I don't know if that was not done on purpose by the Los Angeles Lakers, if I'm being honest with you. When I think about what the Lakers have been trying to do, now I'm not talking about the front office, I'm talking about the coaching staff, and particularly LeBron James. They've been trying to get this front office to get us a center for years. Like years, bro. And LeBron James said something at the end of his presser that I thought was really poignant and really important. He said that, and you ask him what he needs. He doesn't feel comfortable telling you what he needs as it pertains to what type of help he needs around him, because his homeboy AD, when he did that, he was gone the next week. And so with my brain and how it works, I start churning. I'm thinking, well, how do you get your agenda pushed through? How do you make this front office want to do what it is that you want them to do without actually coming to them and telling them to do it? This is a way. This is a way. You get your boy JJ not to play any center in the elimination game so that Rudy Gobert can go absolutely plumb local. I watch the Los Angeles Lakers, let me say this again. I've watched teams, when they're tanking, strategize ways to lose on purpose so that they could get what they need. And whatever the pick would be specifically. Tanking for picks. I've watched teams on a basketball floor schematically leave themselves significant holes, put players on the floor that ain't out there to do nothing but allow for blow-bys and the brick shots. I've watched teams do this. There are ways. I even watched somebody break it down on one podcast I was watching, showing us film of how a team left themselves open to lose a basketball game. And then I look at what the Lakers did and I say, oh yeah, that's another version of that. Game 5 was another version of that. I think JJ and I think LeBron James came together and said, in this elimination game, we're gonna make sure that this front office is so embarrassed by their decision to not make us have our center that the pressure is gonna be on them all season long, off season long rather, to get one. Because obviously coming to them telling them to get one ain't working. You gotta shame these people into doing right. And that is exactly what I think JJ and LeBron James conspired to do in the elimination game 5. And probably game 4 and game 3. Because we knew that we didn't have a chance to win the championship. There was probably more to gain from embarrassment and being ousted in 5 games than there was from fighting our hardest and still getting ousted in whatever way we would. You shame Luka Doncic ass into getting in shape. You shame that front office into fixing this roster. I do believe, after sitting on this for almost 24 hours now, that is exactly what we saw. That's what I think happened. I think JJ Redick and LeBron James probably were the only people involved in this. They sat down and said, man, only way we're going to have what we're going to need over the next couple years is if these people feel shamed into doing it. They can't go into the offseason with any sort of pride because it's not going to give them any incentive to do anything they're supposed to be doing. Let's make sure they're immensely embarrassed going into this offseason so that we can hopefully, by way of that embarrassment, coerce them into doing things the correct way in regards to our roster. That's exactly what I think happened. Because J.J. Redick had this same roster playing so incredibly together. So incredibly together. About 2 months ago. Same people that he was using out there against the Minnesota Timberwolves were the same people he mostly used to have us have one of the best defenses in the league. He didn't scheme us playing no good defense at all in this series. And Minnesota, in my opinion, you got to be trying to lose to play as bad as they played. They were so horrible shooting the ball that I don't think they could beat anybody that wasn't trying to lose playing like that. Game 5 would have been won by anybody in these playoffs. They shot 7 for 47 from behind the arc. Anybody in these playoffs would have beat the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday. Anybody. And so what I'm telling you is I think the Lakers wanted to lose that game. I think they wanted to showcase Rudy Gobert tank style so that the Los Angeles Lakers would be hell-bent on doing more than they would otherwise for sheer shame of how awful their choices ultimately turned out. And I'll be honest with you, I would have been on board with that. Because I don't think we stand to gain nothing if people went into this offseason proud of themselves. Despite losing, for which they were going to lose. The way this roster was being constructed, if everybody would have played perfect, you still would have lost to the Celtics or the Cavaliers. One way or another, you would have lost. Or OKC, you would have lost. Because their roster ain't good enough to beat those teams. Just not. So you probably stand to gain much more from that front office by getting ousted in 5 in embarrassing fashion. Letting a player who averaged 1 point, have the game of his life as your finale for the season. I think there's so much more to gain from that. I really do. The more I think about it, the more I think, you know what? Man, you have a lot more to gain there. I do think Luka's going to resign. I think that's going to be done. I think Luka and Dorian Finney-Smith are definitely getting signing extensions. I don't think Luka has any intention of leaving the Los Angeles Lakers. He's having too much fun being a Laker. There's too much to gain from being a Laker, and he's already been a Laker for 5 minutes, enough to understand how much his money goes up, how much fun it is to live in the sunshine out here. His family's probably loving LA just like most people's family love LA. He got a brand new little baby girl. It's going to be raised in Los Angeles. He's going to be very happy here. But I do think he would be wise to pay attention to this front office very, very closely. He would be wise to pay attention to them, man. Because throughout the course of the 7 years that LeBron James and Anthony Davis have been together, 6 years, whatever it's been, this front office has not put together nothing really good, really at all, since 2020. And before that, not really much. And when you look at what we just went through for the last 2 seasons, getting ousted in the first round in 5 games, you understand that there is some risk. There's some risk to being a part of these Los Angeles Lakers right now as the main guy who's responsible for sending us to the championship. They just extended the guy, Rob Pelinka, who put us all in this position. And he has made a lot of mistakes, man. And he ain't got nobody above him helping him at all. So my thing is, I would sign a 1-1 or a 2-1 if I were Luka. I wouldn't sign nothing big. I wouldn't. Not the way these people are. Because if you give them the leverage to believe that you ain't gonna leave, they may never do right. They may never do right. They may have you dragging a tank. for no reason. Telling everybody they're going to win. You know who we ended up being, ladies and gentlemen? When this season is talked about, the Los Angeles Lakers, in my humble opinion, were equivalent to the Brooklyn Nets and the Phoenix Suns. The Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving, KD, and James Harden, and KD's Suns with Bradley Beal and freaking Devin Booker. That's who we were. A triple threat team with no defense and really no continuity to our offense, and ultimately no chance of winning any damn thing. Despite everybody telling everybody that we were one of the best teams in the league. That's who we ultimately became. That's who we were. When it was all said and done, we were just this year's version of that. And that is why I'm of the mindset that there should be major overhaul changes to this roster, because I do not at all support being that going into next season. No. I don't I don't support that at all. I do not want to be a three-headed monster with trash pieces surrounding it and expectations to win a championship where everybody's throwing up our name like we're going to win something. I do not want to have anything to do with being next year's Brooklyn Nets. Just like we were this year's Brooklyn Nets. And no thank you. I think the Los Angeles Lakers would be wise to take everything they can in their war chest to assure that they don't become that anymore. You build something that is built for Luka Doncic, that is built for him. Don't put together another triple Austin, LeBron, Luka team. Don't do it. Don't even go into the season with that. Don't even go into the season with that, because you know you can't defend with that. You know the offense is not seamless. We just saw it. It ain't seamless. Even if they learn to gel with one another, it still doesn't fit. It does not fit. These players get the same attributes as one another. You're asking duplicates of the same thing to fit with one another. It just doesn't. It does not fit. So I think the Los Angeles Lakers should seriously move on from some people that maybe we don't want to, so that we don't make that happen. That's my concern. Are we going to go forward with, because we love some of these players? We love LeBron. We love Austin. We love Luka. We would love to have all three of them people on our team. If there's a way we can make it so that that's not what the dynamic is, then I would love to bring all three of them back. But if this is the only way, they don't fit, man. They don't fit. You're giving up too much on the defensive end. You're asking too much of a sacrifice from these pieces to where you're dwindling the value of particularly Austin Reeves. Austin is best when he's the leading guy with a bunch of defensive wings and rim protectors and talented Swiss Army knife big men around him. He needs his own show where he's not asked to guard the best player, where he's just asked to be himself. I really believe that. Because we've seen him when he was at his best against the Pacers, 45 points. But when you're asking him to be a part of something where he's a three-headed, playmaking, non-defensive thing that we had going on, you get 15 points in a closeout game. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I think Austin deserves to spread his wings. I don't think he deserves to be in a situation like that anymore. I don't want to see him in that situation anymore, if I'm being completely honest with you. As a fan of Austin, I don't want to see him in that situation anymore. And Luka Doncic forcing LeBron James into being a defender, for which he did a good job, but like, there were times where LeBron James didn't even get the ball down the stretch of the basketball game, and might have been too tired to do anything if he did, because he's exerting so much on the defensive end. I hate the role. I think he played it well, but I hate the role. It didn't lead us nowhere. Couldn't win nothing with that being the role. LeBron James is a scorer. Drive at the rim, pressure on the rim. If he's feeling, he can stretch the floor. He's improved from the line. Clearly, when he puts his head down, he can really be a plus defender. All these different things he can do. I don't need him to be a go-to defensive player playing the Anthony Davis role ever again. And I don't know that we can ask his body to do that for 82 games anymore. I have reason to believe he probably won't be able to do that again. So this is where I'm at with it. I think if we come back with the same stuff, we're still going to find ourselves short. We may be able to build something significantly better than the crap we had right here. But we're always going to be deficient defensively. So long as we're asking those three to be our starting players. You're always going to have some deficiency defensively. Luka and Austin, just like D'Lo and Austin, should not be in the backcourt together. The league is too strong, too fast at their positions to ask them to play those positions together. They have to defer too much effectively to one another in order to get the most out of the both of them. You got to cut them both in half, essentially, production-wise. I don't like it. Luka Doncic is a one-man band. He really is. It's a one-man band. He needs what Dallas had. That team was built perfect around him. Get him his Kyrie piece. Get him his bunch of leaping centers and his stretch the floor corner guys. Maybe a nice little Swiss Army knife scoring guard off the bench. Some type of Emmanuel Quickly, something off the bench like that. Some type of maybe an OG Anunoby type dude next to him. That's pretty much it. He don't need too much because it becomes too much. Essentially what I've learned. You're asking him to share possessions with two different guys that always need the ball? Hell no, you're not getting the most out of Luka Doncic. Hell no. You're looking at Luka crazy because he wants a possession at a given moment? Hell no, that's insane. You don't ever want to have that problem being in your place again. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't ever want that problem again. I don't ever want to look at Luka Doncic and say you need to be passing the ball to any damn body so that they can do what it is he does. Ever again. Betraying the purpose of having a top 5 guy that does these things. He's top 5. He don't need another top 5 guy next to him. If anything, that person's taking too much from him unless he does completely different things. I'm just being honest with y'all. Luka needs less Chiefs around him and more specialists and role players and athletes and leapers, people that are going to catch lobs so that he can jack up 30 shots and it not be a problem for your offense. I don't want to be looking at him saying, man, you should have passed the rock to the other guy. And that guy should have passed the rock to you. And that guy should have passed the rock to Austin. And who gets the ball in the end, who knows? But nah, enough of that. Luka gets the ball. That's who gets the ball. He's 26 years old. He's a top 5 player. He's a one-man band. He scored 73 points in this league at one point. I don't want him having to defer to a damn fool, anybody. And so this is why I'm really concerned about what's going to happen with the Lakers going forward. Because either we're going to go forward with what it is we just had and force these people into playing a funky fit that don't fit, or we're going to move on from some great players so that it does fit. Either way, I'm concerned. I'm going to be honest with you. Either way, I'm concerned. For a million different reasons. One of them being, I don't know if I trust this front office, man. If I'm going to move some of these great players, I don't know they're going to bring me back nothing that's going to really get it done, man. Because on one hand, you say, okay, now let's go get the pieces. On the other hand, it's like, okay, do they know what the pieces are and they're going to be able to get them? don't know, man. Can they make it happen? I don't know, man. But I tell you this, we absolutely need more athletes on this basketball team. More athletes. People that jump. At the center position, at the forward position. Jumpers. Shaden Sharps, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, all that stuff they got over there in Dallas. All the stuff they got over there, we need that stuff. Need leapers, man. Amen Thompson and his brother, that's what Luka needs around him. If we're gonna trade away our pieces, we need to be trying to find stuff like that. Because if you can't get off the ground and catch a lob, or be really, really efficient shooting the ball from the corner as a catch and shoot guy, potentially you could be a nuisance to Luka Doncic. Just a nuisance. You can't help it. If you can't make plays and be a hockey assist guy and making plays for other people, I don't know if you can really be a part of his offense either. If you're a one-man band or if you're a no-show that runs around Cardi G style, nah, we don't want no more of that stuff on our team, man. And look, I saw what Vando's value was to this team yesterday. You would be wise to value him properly. I understand that JJ may feel the same way next year about him as he did this year. I understand that. But Vando is a piece that can really fit anywhere because he doesn't fit anywhere just the same. He's a Swiss Army knife. Leave him alone. Let him get his own type of guy. All you got to do is just live with whatever comes of that. You know, JJ mentioned that yesterday, and I definitely agree in the sense that it's a give and take no matter what. He was essentially saying he played no center because we couldn't score while having Jackson Hayes out there. So he was willing to let whatever happened that comes with not having a center so that he can provide himself the scoring that comes with lining up the way he did. And it's a give and take. I definitely agree with that's true. But you don't let Rudy Gobert kill you like that. Once you see it not working, you deviate away from it. You don't allow that to be what's going on because you ain't going to win that way. But that is exactly the case. But this is what I'm saying in regards to this as well. There are going to be some things that come your way for what it is that you ultimately have no matter what, particularly Vando. It's a give and take. He's going to mess up your spacing, probably miss some layups, but he's going to make up for it in other areas, as we talked about several times in the last couple of weeks. Value this player. Let him cook. Let him cook. Let him have his opportunity. Don't lowball him if you try to trade him for something that ain't worth nothing because he hasn't shown nothing. Showcase him. Since he's healthy for a change, give him 20 minutes a game throughout the regular season next year and then move him at the deadline if that's what you want to do. But don't trade him at low cost because the coach don't know how to use him. I think that's a big mistake. And I think if you start trading some of this stuff at this value, this off-season value, some of these pieces like that, it's going to be a mistake. Dalton Connect could potentially be too low right now. Based on what we've seen from him or lack thereof, he's going to get better. Might want to hold on to him. Maybe that's not reasonable. Maybe that's not realistic in order to get what we need. But I'm just saying I think some of these people's value going to go up next season. Maybe not by a great amount, but definitely up from where it's at right now. Vando and Dalton specifically, they're definitely going up after the tip-off in next season. Definitely going up. So, I don't know, man. This offseason is very critical for the Lakers, man. Very critical. The team going to be better than they were these last 2 years. We're going to have to make some real changes, man. We can't go into the season with what we had thinking, well, we run it back, maybe bring a few. No. That fit does not work. It's funky. Funky Cole Medina, fam. It is funky. It is not seamless. These guys are forcing it, and it doesn't necessarily work So these are the things that are on my mind as I consider what just happened to us. The Los Angeles Lakers are not okay right now. We got ousted in the first round for the second year in a row. We may have brought ourselves Luka the Don, but we didn't bring ourselves anything else that made any damn sense. And LeBron's about to retire at some point, leaving us with half of his value dissipating into nothing, which is something I've been concerned about for a couple of years now. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm telling y'all, man, the business of basketball and the structure of how to build a team is influencing my opinion completely. It's influencing my opinion completely. Because if this weren't something that I felt affects what it is we're able to put together, nothing would make me happier than LeBron James retiring in my uniform. I think it's an honor for a great player like that to spend his last days on the basketball floor playing for my roster, playing for our team. The concern I have is that he really does make up a good half of what it is that we're worth as a franchise. And we need that represented in talent on the basketball floor. And when you don't account for that, it is reflected in the quality of your roster each and every time. And we've made that mistake so many times to where we're not oblivious to that anymore. We've seen other teams make it as well, and we see how it's hurting their team when it comes to their quality of talent versus teams who haven't had that mistake being made and the quality of talent they have on their rosters. A lot of the teams that value things properly and the teams that benefit from other people who don't are the teams that are still around in these playoffs right now. And it's the teams that forego value or don't consider this concept that are not in the playoffs today. And that theme is going to continue going forward because the teams that didn't do that simply have more, and the teams that did simply have less. The concept is very easy when you consider it. Players can be traded for other players and picks. If a player worth 7 picks retires in your uniform, that's 7 picks out the window that doesn't show up on the basketball floor. That's 7 players that don't show up on the basketball floor. That value is gone. It goes to nothing. It's the same thing if Luka Doncic decides to just not sign with the Lakers and we don't trade him. All that he's worth and all that we traded him for is now not going to be reflected on anything that we have on the floor. And as a result, you suck because of it. And so that concept is very, very clear to me. It's been clear to me for a long time. And I just want the Los Angeles Lakers to really understand how detrimental that is to our franchise going forward. I want LeBron James to understand how detrimental that is to our franchise post him. It's really bad. If all that he's worth in this market is not accounted for because of his retirement, that hurts us bad, man. And there ain't nothing he can do about that. I'm sorry, literally there's nothing he can do about that. He can't save us from that. That's just the nature of the circumstance. All LeBron can control is what he can control. He's going to play until he doesn't anymore, and then he's going to retire. The question is, who's going to take the loss from that? Is it going to be our team that can't afford to, or is it going to be a different team that maybe ain't going to have it hurt them so much? You see what I'm saying? I don't like the nature of this circumstance. I would prefer it not be like that. I would love for a world where you can still have great players, even if great players disappear. And free agency may be the answer. Maybe you can sign Giannis when LeBron retires. That would be really awesome if you could find a way to do that. You know what I mean? That fixes the problem completely. But that's not something I can guarantee myself. And so I have to assume the odds are not favorable that I'm able to make up that value. I gotta assume that those players that's supposed to be worth will not be on the floor out there for me. This is why I still think that the Clippers probably would have been better to have traded Paul George instead of him just walk outright. Even though they did a fantastic job of putting playmakers and role players rather on their roster, they look like they're still a contender. They're still in the game. But they let a player that was that valuable at one point, who could have been accounted for something, go away for nothing. You're not better for that. You may be able to make up for it by doing a bunch of other good things for which they did, but you're still not better for that. And so that's what I'm saying to y'all, man. I just want the Lakers to understand how much danger they're in when you consider how much LeBron James is worth and him walking away for nothing. You don't want him to walk away for nothing. You don't want that at all. You want him to walk away for something. You want to get back picks in his stead and players in his stead. Pieces that are going to fit a vision that you have. Players that are going to be tradable later on when you try to recoup for them. That's worth so much more on the court than a ceremony where you celebrate him, put his jersey up in the rafters, and he poofs into the thin air, riding off in the sunset with the Lakers. That does not help the Laker health. Their franchise health does not benefit from that. And I've been preaching this for years now. And I don't know that people really get that. Like, our front office, this is another reason why I want us to hire a president of basketball operations, because I don't really know that point is actually driven home to the people who really need to care about that thing, that particular thing. I think they prioritize the optics of LeBron retiring in their uniform more than they care about them actually having good enough players in his stead for his absence. And as a fan who wants to win, I don't share the value of that. That's not impressive to me. What's impressive to me is being good enough to win a championship. What's going to make me good enough to win a championship is making sure I have quality players represented in all the value that I ultimately have currently on my roster. If something goes out, something comes back for it. Not something that's worth half the damn roster dissipating into nothingness. So if y'all don't want to suck next year, if you want to secure not sucking next year, you're going to find a way to get value for LeBron James before he retires. As we've been talking about for years now. Or you're going to lose him for something. You're going to lose him for nothing, rather. And your roster is going to be reflected in that decision. It's going to reflect that decision. And so that's pretty much the thought in regards to that, man. I wish it were different. I wish it was set up differently. I wish we didn't need to move LeBron James in order to get what we need for LeBron James. I wish they had some type of clause where if a guy like that retires in uniform, you get a first round pick or two for that. As a thank you from the league for allowing him to do so. That's not real. That's not going to happen. You know, I heard a lot of conversations about Giannis. I know that most people expect Giannis to leave Milwaukee. The way Giannis is wired, I'm not sure he actually is leaving Milwaukee, you guys. He's already won a championship there. And they've already shown him that they're willing to move heaven and earth to keep him. They drafted him. They've developed him. I think he wants to be a Milwaukee lifer. I heard some Chicago fans, because he said something about maybe playing for the Chicago Bulls a couple years ago. I think there's probably 1% chance he would even consider going there if he leaves Milwaukee. And the only reason why I would think there was a 1% chance is because it's so close to Milwaukee. It's the only hope a franchise like Chicago has of getting a guy like Giannis in free agency, in my opinion. I don't think it makes any sense to choose them. 0 sense. Now, maybe they can make a trade for him in this situation, but I don't know that they necessarily have the best package. But in this NBA, you may not need the best package. I've adjusted my thinking since a Luka trade. It ain't about having the best package. It's just being able to get somebody to take what you got and give you what you want. Best packages is logic. Logic doesn't often drive a lot of this stuff, if I'm being real with you. That's what we've come to understand. We should have learned that lesson with Kawhi Leonard when he picked the Clippers over the Lakers. Logic don't often drive a lot of these things. Sometimes people just do whatever. Sometimes people are just Nico Harrison. Literally. But as far as I can tell, as sure as my name is BDF44, Giannis does have every incentive to get the heck out of there, Milwaukee. He has every incentive to leave there. And one of the places that a lot of people think he may want to go is Los Angeles, in LeBron's stead. Now, I don't know that you can trade LeBron under these circumstances. I don't think so. Not under these circumstances. And I don't think he would be willing to go to Milwaukee, replacing Giannis. I don't think he wants to be wearing in Anthony Davis' shoes right now. And that's essentially what he would be doing. So it's going to be a hurt fan base who lost their Pantheon great and replacing him with a guy who's likely going to retire in 5 minutes. I just don't think that that's something that LeBron would be actually interested in doing. So for those who are thinking LeBron is going to be traded for Giannis, 0% chance that happens. Excuse me, guys. 0% chance that happens, in my opinion. 0. I do believe that the Lakers should have every incentive to make a package run toward Giannis, just like 29 other teams should. I don't think it's responsible for any team in this league, not named Milwaukee, to try to go after Giannis at this point. All teams should be doing that. But the teams that I think are probably more likely to get Giannis if something like that were to happen are teams with probably picks helpful to reset Milwaukee's situation. So I think of a fresh team like Brooklyn, who got a lot of picks back from the trades they made. I think of a team like San Antonio, who has plenty of future picks to trade to make their package good and pair him up with the boy Wemby. Yeah, those are the teams that come to mind. Those are the teams that come to mind immediately. New York, I think, may have some things to do there. They may be able to put something together with the picks that they still have left. But they gave up so many picks for OG Anunoby. I don't know if the Bucks will be interested in like a Karl Anthony Towns, Giannis trade. I doubt it. I don't think they go for that. But I do think the Knicks will probably try something like that. Mikal Bridges, picks, Karl Towns. That might be an interesting package for Milwaukee, to be honest with you. If the Knicks are willing to break up half of that. You know, a team along those lines, you know what I mean? Teams with a lot of picks to go forward with. In a franchise that he may be willing to move on toward. He's been in Milwaukee for the last however long. So I don't know if the small market idea is really that big of a deal breaker when you consider how happy he is in such a small market. But I don't know if it's more about the small market or the fact that it's literally his home at this point, Milwaukee. Would he be as happy in Sacramento? One can confuse that being happy in a specific place with being happy anywhere. I don't know that he would be happy anywhere. I just think he'd be very happy in a Milwaukee that has enough pieces to help him compete. I just don't think Milwaukee at this point has the path to them getting those pieces anymore because of how they've handled their asset class. Some of the stuff that they got representing on their roster, I don't know if they can trade that stuff for the pieces that are going to make it so that he's able to compete anymore. That's my concern. I don't think Giannis can do that. Stay there any longer, waste any more time. Hey, buddy, waste any more time in these situations where they're kind of just going to be kicking the can down the road, hoping to possibly rebuild. So what I think Milwaukee may be thinking right now. And so the team that really keeps coming to mind for me is San Antonio. Because the thing about Wemby is Wemby stretches the floor so well that the spacing potentially isn't just so bad. Now, Stephon Castle doesn't really space the floor so well, but I don't know if I'm not Milwaukee, if I'm not demanding he come to Milwaukee. Stephon Passo is probably somebody I'm going to make sure comes in the trade. And I know he just won Rookie of the Year. Congratulations to him, but he ain't holding up no Giannis trade. I'll tell you that. He ain't holding up no Giannis trade. I think a team like the Rockets could potentially be interested in Giannis too. When I think about it, depends on how things go right here. Because they did make it to game 6. Maybe they win the series, you know. And if that's the case, maybe it's in their best interest not to blow things up. But I just don't think a team like Houston, who's been itching for a superstar like that, is going to try to hold back anything to get Giannis. I think they'll put anything on the table pretty much to get him if they're interested. And I believe they would be. So you can enter their name into the equation. I think they probably have a great package from Milwaukee. And so, man, these are the things that are going on out there. I think Giannis could legitimately be on the move. I think the Lakers will probably take the 3 picks that may be available to them to trade this offseason. Couple that with Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura. And probably try to see if that does it, but it won't. It ain't gonna work, not in my opinion. I don't think that's enough for Milwaukee in comparison to some of the package that they should be having to mull over. I don't think the Lakers package is gonna be good enough. Not at all. Not at all. But I have no doubt the Lakers will be making phone calls to try to bring him out here. And if he demands to come here, then maybe something crazy could happen. But I doubt it. I would not say that he's going to be a Laker. I don't think so. Especially since we just got Luka. I think it's going to be a fleet of owners who are going to be really interested in making sure the Lakers do not do that again, especially so soon. You know what I mean? Especially so soon. So we can get greedy as fans, but I think it's going to be a bunch of people who are going to silently nod in agreement to make sure that doesn't happen. That's what I expect the environment is right now. So, yeah, I would give that about a 1% chance as well, to be honest with you. But San Antonio, Houston, New York, Brooklyn. It's probably going to be the Texas and New York, in my opinion. If Giannis go anywhere, probably Texas and New York. And if I'm a betting man right now, I would say San Antonio. San Antonio probably has the best fleet of packages. They can afford to mortgage as much as possible because you got Wemby, and in this situation, you would have Giannis. You probably feel great about winning the championship, building around those two. You got a bunch of other stuff as well. It's got De'Aaron Fox, who probably wouldn't be a part of that trade. So, like, they could be potentially NBA champions next year, literally, if they pull that off. In fact, they're probably the favorites to win the championship next year if they do that. So, I don't expect a team like Boston would be willing to move like Jaylen Brown. And I don't think that Milwaukee would be interested in taking back Jaylen Brown. But if Boston were to make a move like that, it would probably be that type of piece. It would probably be Jaylen's contract that would likely have to be on the move. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see Boston doing anything like that. Orlando might be able to do it if they want to move Paolo. Maybe Milwaukee see that as interesting, but I think that's almost lateral, to be honest with you, if you're Orlando. I don't think Giannis going to win a championship in Orlando next to Franz Wagner or something. I don't think so. There are better places for his future than that. Miami doesn't have the package, in theory. But I could totally see him wanting to live there, just like I see anybody wanting to live there, you know what I mean? But I don't believe they have the package. So yeah, I know this is supposed to be a Laker video, but there's a lot of people going around saying the Lakers are going to get Giannis, and I just like, man, I know we just got Luka, so we shouldn't rule out anything, but I just think because you got Luka, it's going to be a lot of people going to try to keep you from getting anything, basically. And it makes so much sense that they do. That they would be so inclined to be jealous and resentful of the Los Angeles Lakers after us basically pulling off the Luka trade for half the price. So, no, I don't think the NBA is going to be up for that. So, yeah, man, Giannis may have a lot of sway to tell where he wants to go, though. You know, but I don't have any inclination that he would want to come here. But, you know, it would be available to him if he wanted to. I'll put it like that. I'm pretty sure if he wanted to force his way to the Lakers, he'd be a Laker. So, yeah, man, that's really what I wanted to say here. I wanted to give y'all a little bit of Giannis talk because that's going to be what people are talking about in the offseason. I guess he's supposed to have some type of meeting with the Milwaukee Bucks over the next several days to determine what their interest would be in maybe doing some things differently so that he could feel better about being there or moving him. That's my guess. And that meeting is imminent. So I don't know if he requests a trade. If he does, I would advise him to do it silently. That definitely shouldn't be something the media knows about. Not if you're serious about actually moving. And, the media is going to talk about it any damn way because, quite honestly, they ain't going to have much else to talk about after these playoffs. So I don't think it benefits his people at all to say anything. The media going to talk about it any damn way. It ain't like you're going to give them any revelation. So, yeah, man, that's really what's on my mind, man. I'd be happy to bring Giannis to this team, no doubt. Greek Freak is amazing. He's a bit older now. He's 30 years old, but he's still got plenty left in the tank. He's still one of the top players, still a driving force in this league. I don't know that he fits in every situation, though, but I don't doubt that you mold the situation to fit him rather than worry about that if you're bringing him in. I don't know that I rule out a team like Atlanta, to be honest with you, only because they do have the Trae Young piece. He could likely be on the move. They got players like Jalen Johnson. He could be on the move. That could be an interesting package for a Milwaukee Bucks team. And if Atlanta's intentional on starting over and building around Giannis, then they pretty much could have, in theory, a clean slate. But if I'm Giannis, there's no way I trust him. I would not trust the the Atlanta front office no more than I trust anybody that's bad. Milwaukee is probably a better place for him to stay, if I'm being completely honest with you. I trust Milwaukee's situation more than I trust Atlanta's going forward. Atlanta just continue to disappoint no matter what type of talent they have. So I wouldn't expect that would change at all if he goes there. So yeah, man, these are things that are going through my head, man. I'm sure there are other teams as well. I'm sure there are, but I just don't know if they have the packages. Now, I don't know if they think it makes sense for them to undo some of the stuff that may be working, like a team like Minnesota, for example. I don't know that they would be interested in moving heaven and earth to bring in Giannis when they have a team that just knocked the Lakers off in the first round. But I also don't doubt that if they can make a trade for Giannis, it would improve their franchise health dramatically, given the fact they lost so much for Rudy Gobert. So if I'm in Minnesota, I would be willing to move anything not named Anthony Edwards for him, for sure. But I don't know that they're thinking that way. And I don't know that he'd be better for going there either. I don't think so. But I can tell you this, him and Ant-Man on paper look like they could win a championship or two. That's for damn sure. But I just don't know they would have anything else other than those two, based on what they've done with their assets. And I don't think Anthony Edwards wants to play with anybody like that. I think he wants to be the man. I don't think he wants to play with any damn body, if I'm being completely honest with you. But yeah, man, these are things that are going through my head, man. But Milwaukee, I tell you, is in the dumps because now they got the problem that the Lakers have, and essentially what I'm talking about is Dame Dollard is never going to be worth what he used to be. Now that he's popped his Achilles and blood clots, he's broken goods, damaged goods at this point. So whatever value he was worth when they got him, he worth like a third of that, if that, right now, and probably gonna have to retire in their uniform as damaged goods. So that's why they need to probably move Giannis, because they have Brook Lopez on a big contract who ain't worth nothing. Kyle Kuzma's value's in the toilet, probably not getting much better. Bobby Portis ain't worth too much. Nice player, but he ain't worth too much in the market. So they have a bunch of stuff that ain't worth nothing. Now, a team that I think could be interesting in this situation, though I don't expect they would do this, is the Phoenix Suns. A KD for Giannis trade could, in theory, make a stupid GM consider it. Stupid on the Milwaukee side, because there's no way in hell that should be enough. to get Giannis. But if you think of Kevin Durant as the Kevin Durant he's always been, I can see somebody being dumb enough to do something like that. We still have Dame Dollar. We still want to win. Bring him to us. I could see somebody being dumb enough to do that. But if they know what they're doing, they're not going to do that. But a lot of these GMs don't know what they're doing, so I try to work that into my equation now. I could totally see somebody doing something like that. If we got to lose Giannis, we might as well bring ourselves Kevin Durant. Like Kevin Durant's 106 years old, but he's still Kevin Durant. Like, got it. I could totally see somebody being dumb enough to do that. But Milwaukee, if Milwaukee really needs anything, they need picks, man. Because they are losing Giannis. They do have a bunch of stuff that ain't worth a damn. The only thing they should be trading Giannis for is picks. And young guys that are like 22 years old are going to be stars. That's it. If they're not trading for a package like that, then they truly are working backwards. And they're going to be bad for a long time because of it, in my opinion. So, yeah, this is reset time for Milwaukee. And Giannis shouldn't be the only thing that gets moved. They should move everything. Move it all. Move it all. They should be as bad as the Wizards next year if they know what they're doing. Move it all for picks. Move it all for young stuff. So, that is pretty much what I got to say, man. I'm back where I need to be. Time to pay some people for allowing me to stay here. I'm very grateful that you guys have rocked with me all season. On this Laker thing, it's been a good year. I know I probably bored some people to tears by screaming numbers at you before Laker games, but I do believe that is the most valuable information. Entertainment isn't everything. Sometimes preparation is more important than entertainment. To a content creator who's intentional on helping his fans of the team that he follows and his team, the front office, with information that can help us win. I'm more interested in making us a winning basketball team than I am in entertaining anybody, if I'm being completely honest with you. So if I think reading stats off for the last 5 games could be intentional on being one more person out there with data necessary to help us win basketball games, then if it costs me in the views, so be it. So long as the people who need to see it are aware of it. So that's kind of why I did what I did. I understand it ain't great to watch. I ain't like listening to me talk back numbers. I ain't like talking numbers. But I know that gave me the most informed information to be as prepared for what was coming as possible. And I can guarantee you that I felt a hell of a lot more confident that I knew what I was talking about when talking about these teams because of that specific practice. Video 44, I thank y'all for watching.